Hello, and welcome to Mindscast 445. I'm Cindy Rader. This is part 4 of our Laravel Books app example. In part 3, we added basic authentication. In this video, we will see how to limit functions like editing books to just specific users. Our first task is to create a relationship between books and users, and we'll do that by adding a field to the books table. So we first need to create a migration, which we'll call add book owner. In this migration, we are adding a column to the books table. Notice that's updating the schema. We're adding an integer, which is going to be user ID. This is going to be a foreign key that references the ID in the users table. And of course, in the down function, we need to reverse that. So we need to drop that foreign key and then drop the column. So for us to effectively add and remove columns, we're going to need a package named Doctrine, which is not included automatically. So we're going to update the composer.json file. Up here under require, we put a comma at the end of the Laravel framework, and then we add doctrine/dbal, which will then add those packages. And we of course need to run composer update so that it does add the packages, and this again is going to take a few minutes. And now that the system is updated, we go ahead and run the migration. And that will add the column to the books table. Now we need to update our user model to take advantage of this new key we've added. We first add the function books, which tells the system that we have a has-many relationship between book and user ID. We create this relationship called owns, which links the ID of a user to the book user ID. And people who can edit a book include either a user who is an admin or the user who owns the book. Now that we've added a column, we're going to update our books table seeder. Notice that I've added a user ID, and I've, in two of them, added the user ID, which is just the normal user, and in one case I've set the user ID to null. We must have the same number of fields for each of these, so I actually have to specify null. I can't just leave that entire field off of that line. And now I run the command to seed the database. So now I'm going to update the edit and delete routes so that we check first to see if this user can actually edit the book or delete the book. And if yes, then we go ahead and go to the view for editing with the book and the method put. These two are the same as before. Otherwise, we redirect to the index with the error message that you're not allowed to edit this page or delete this page. So now let's test this functionality. I have started up the server and I have logged in, and now I'm going to try to edit this second book. Remember, that's the one where I set the user ID to null. And I go to edit, and here's the message: you are not allowed to edit this page. On the other hand, if I go back to the overview and click on, for instance, the first one and edit, remember I set this one to have the user ID of 2, which matches Cindy, and I can update this as I see fit. So this works fine for records that we've already seeded, but what about new books that we add? We need to update the post route. Remember, post is the verb that gets called when we hit the submit button. And this line was already there to create the book, and we've added now this line where we get the user ID based on the user ID who is logged in, and then we save the book. And if it's successful, book save actually returns a Boolean. If it's successful, we redirect to the index with a success message. Otherwise, we redirect back with an error that we could not create the book. So to see if this all works, we're going to add a new book. And we'll add code by Petzold. Save. Notice I'm logged in as Cindy. So if I go back to the overview, there's the book. And if I click on it and edit, then I can indeed edit the book. So one other thing we'd like to do, if I click on a book that I cannot edit, I end up with this ugly error message. But it would really be nice if instead we just didn't show the edit and delete buttons if that function isn't available. So to make this change, we go to the single blade template. And notice here's the edit and delete buttons, and we put an if statement before that. If auth check and the user can edit book, then we display the buttons. Otherwise, just no display there. So let's try this. I am still logged in as Cindy. I go to Nature's Keeper, and remember before we had the edit and delete. Now I can't edit that book, and so there's no option at all. That's all for this video. Thank you for watching.